Okay, we're going to do lesson number, this is lesson 3, working with layers, but this is going to be lab number 2. So we're going to be creating a lab 2 called Super Robot. So I'm going to show you, if you open up your Photopea project, as a new project here, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using several different images from your files. So if we look right here, you're going to be using the same chapter 3 files, and there's a ton of stuff in here. So we'll just kind of go through as we need the ones. So most of the ones, all the ones you're going to be using are the ones that say lab 3-2. So we got a robot background, a robot body, a robot earth, shadow, and a title. So we're going to be going through how to set this up. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to take in your background, I believe it is. So we're going to take this. Let me find it again. This Lab 3-2 robot background. So you just drag that one in to your Photopea, and you should get an image that looks like this. Okay, I'm going to turn these transform controls off. So we're going to be basically using this here. We're going to be taking this sky, and we'll be darkening that down. We'll be taking the shadow out here as well. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to learn how to clone over the shadow on the right side of the image. So we're going to be trying to see the shadow here. We're going to basically try to clone it, some of this area down in here, and just kind of paint back over top of that to make it look, get rid of that shadow. So it's kind of an interesting tool. So if we go to this clone tool here, so what you want to do is you want to activate that, and if you can see this little circle right here, if you hold the Alt button down, you should see it change to some. So you want to get somewhere down in this area here, and click that, and then what you'll notice is you'll see that it looks like it's got this desert area. So now what we can do is just kind of left click and just kind of click over this and just kind of fade this in here. And my mouse skills are not the greatest, but we can kind of go over that and make that look a little better. So now that shadow's gone, kind of looks similar to what we have here. Okay, so pretty much you just want to kind of do that to get a little bit better look. And that's pretty much how you use that clone tool. So any of the area that you wanted to clone, if you hold the Alt key, you'll notice you get this little plus sign here. So that's how you can adjust. And anything that's in there, you want to make it look similar to the areas that are around it. So that's pretty much how you want to do that. Get rid of that darker area there. You can actually make this a little bigger using your bracket tools. So if you make your bracket tool there, you can see how that makes it a little bigger. And if we were to do the Alt key again, click that, now you notice we get a little bit different area there. So kind of got to be careful with that. So now it looks like a little thing, so I don't really like that too well. Take that back off. But that's kind of how you can do that depending on what you're really wanting to do. Okay, so that'll be the first step, is take care of doing that. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to select our sky here, and then we're going to create a new layer of just with our sky. Okay, so we're going to use this Magic Wand tool. I like to use the Magic Wand tool because it's much better, and we'll make sure that it's set here to, let's see, not subtract, place. I'm going to try this one here. So I'm just going to kind of come in here, and we'll click there, and you'll notice that it doesn't pick up every little thing there. Sometimes you might have to decrease. Let me just do this. Let's Control D to take that off. Let's go and reduce this tolerance down to about 5 or so. And maybe we can try the quick selection. And that gave us too much, obviously. So we'll try that again. and this can be a little tricky sometimes to get this to pick up what you want. Let's see, put our tolerance down to 0. Let's see what that gives us. I think it's even less, so let's try a tolerance of 100. And that's way too much. So we got to get somewhere in between there. So let's try 50. Okay, so 50 looks like it's a little better. Yeah, that's good. So if you try a tolerance of 50 to start with, you won't make all the same mistakes I did. So we'll get this, and we're pretty much going to outline all the blue area here. Okay, so what we're going to do, and on Photopea, unfortunately, does not have a layer via cut. So what we're going to need to do is do a layer via copy. If you were on Photoshop, you would have a layer via cut option as well, but we're going to use layer via copy. Okay, and now if we were to turn that off, you'll notice that we now have this sky. Okay, and if we turn this off, obviously we still have the original picture. So a layer by cut would actually cut this area off completely, but since this is above it, anything we do to this layer will oversee this one here. So we're going to double click this right here, and we're just going to name it sky. Okay. So we're just going to name it sky. That'll make sure that we have that, and we can give this a color. So let's give this a color of, let's say, blue. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is, let's see, we're going to add the robot body to this image here. So we're going to pull up our picture here. So we're going to look there, and now here is our Lab 3-2 robot body. So we're going to take this file, we're just going to drag it in. Okay, so now we have this nice little robot. We can go ahead and click this little thing here, and with this we can kind of move him around a little bit to where we want him, and I want to put him somewhere about right here. Okay, we don't really need to, and that's about right. So somewhere in this neighborhood here, and what we can do is we will actually call this layer, let's see, we'll just call it robot. Okay, and since he has like a lot of red on there, let's just give him a layer color of red. Okay, so pretty much that's all we need to do for our little robot there. We don't need to do too much there with him. And the next thing we want to do is we're going to be adding the shadow to him. There is a shadow to him, so we're going to make sure we put it right right behind him here. So let's see, let me pull this up again, and I'm trying to read my directions at the same time that I'm looking at this, so we'll just drag this here, and you'll notice there's the shadow. So we'll go ahead and click that, and I'm going to drag, oops, wrong layer. How about shadow? For some reason we keep we want to take that and for some reason it just continues to grab this layer. So what we're going to do, I'm going to lock that layer, and I'm going to lock that layer, and I'm going to lock that layer. So now we can't move those. So sometimes you have to do that, so, and it still wants to grab that for some reason. And I am not 100% sure why that is happening, of why I can't grab that shadow, which is very irritating. It continues to want to grab that. I don't understand what the deal is there. Well, when in doubt, we're just going to scrap that. And we'll just simply bring it back in again. And we're going to drag it down towards about right there. Okay, so it looks like it's coming down about right there, and that'll be just fine. And now we'll call this simply robot shadow. We're going to give it a color. Let's just give it purple color. Now you can notice it looks like it's over top of his feet. So let's go ahead and unlock these two layers. Well, let's take it and we'll drag it below the robot. Now it looks like it's behind. Okay, so that's all you have to really do to do that. So pretty simple. After a little bit of frustration there, not being able to move that layer. Haven't had that problem before, but anyway. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the Earth graphic into our scene here. So we're just going to simply go here. We're going to see here it says Robot Earth, so it's going to drag this in, and it's going to bring it here. We're just going to drag it over to somewhere in this neighborhood here. Okay, so pretty much we just want to put it there, maybe over just a little bit. You can use your arrow keys to kind of position this over, so we'll move it somewhere like that. And just click this button here, and we'll call this actually should go above robot, and let's call this Earth. If I can spell, don't need two E's. There we go. And let's see what color. We'll just give it, we haven't used, let's give it green. Okay. All right, so pretty much have that. So the next one we need to do is we need to add the title. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back here and find the robot title. So we'll drag that in, and it's going to look something like that. So we kind of want it to be over centered a little bit. So let's center it over something like that. So we'll make sure that we center this title right above his head there. So it'll go over the Earth a little bit, but that's fine. And then we'll just click this little check mark here, take care of that. And we'll double click it, call it title. And let's see what color, let's give it yellow, since it's kind of yellow. Okay. All right, so we're moving right along here, and we don't want to leave the little background out here. It needs a color too, so let's see what color. Let's give him orange, so we don't leave him out. Okay, so far so good. We've gotten through this point. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to do a little bit of adjustment. So we're going to start working on our layers and add some adjustment layers and different things like that. So we're going to select the background layer first, okay, and we're going to add to this a hue saturation adjustment. So if we go down here, I believe it is new adjustment layer. So it's this little icon down here. So if we click that, we're looking for hue saturation. Okay, so hue saturation, and since we had that selected, it's kind of going to go straight to that. And we want to see if we want to I don't know if we're supposed to colorize it or not, but I believe so. But properties, let's see, and that should affect okay, so let's see here. If we get this, let's see what settings we need to do. We need to change the hue to plus 20. So we just go 20. Oops, not 200, but 20. Okay, so we're gonna make it look a little bit more like the moon. Saturation, we're going to say -80, so just type in the negative symbol and 80 and not 800. So it kind of looks a little bit darker like that. And okay, so we want to clip this, and this one really doesn't make a lot of difference, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. I'll show you how to do it. Is you right click on here and you just add it as a clipping mask, and what that'll do is that'll clip it to that particular layer. So as we do some of these others up here, we only want them to affect the layer that they're directly above, so that we don't affect everything. If you want a certain adjustment to affect everything below it, then you don't have to put a clipping mask on there, but this just, you'll notice that it has this little arrow key right there. It shows you. Now you can uncheck that to take it back off if you don't want it there. Okay. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we're going to create one for the sky. So we're going to create another adjustment layer. This time we're going to do a brightness contrast. So we're going to click the sky layer, and then we're going to go down here again to the adjustment layer, and we're going to click that, and we're going to choose brightness contrast. That will insert it above here. If we go ahead, and I'll show you kind of what it looks like when we don't clip it, and then what happens when you do clip it. Okay, so we'll click it again, and we're going to set the brightness here. We're going to turn this black because we want this to look like this is like the moon or something, so that this is out in space, and obviously the space is not blue when you look at it. So we're going to set, and we want to make sure we use legacy, so let's go ahead and click that little box right there. And let's see what the settings are going to be. We're going to drag these all the way to the left. So we're going to drag brightness all the way down, and we're going to drag contrast all the way down. So it's going to make it all completely black, and obviously it got rid of our background. So that's not what we want. So that's where the clipping mask comes in. So if we clip here, then it will only affect the layer directly below it. So now it is clipped to the sky layer, and it's only going to affect the sky. So you can toggle that on and off to see what the difference is. So that's, now it looks like this is the sky or the space. Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create and add a layer effect to our title. So we're going to choose, we can pull that back in, we're going to choose our title, and we're going to add an effect. Okay. So the effect that we're going to add is we're going to add the stroke. Okay, so we're going to click here, and we're going to add a stroke to the title. Okay, and you'll get this, we'll drag it over here where we can see it, and you can already see that it's got this red color here, and we get some size here, position, and opacity, and things like that. So we're going to go here, and we're going to look, and we're going to say what we want to set is. Doesn't really give us a specific size, but we can leave it like this and see what it looks like. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this color to the color of these eyes right here. So we're just going to click here. You'll now get, if you move out here, you'll get, you can pick a color, and now you get this color here. And you notice how it changed that on the back, and that's pretty much what we want. I'm going to click that, and you can see if we were to do the size, as you make the size bigger, how that kind of grows. So let's see what 5 looks like. Yeah, 5 doesn't look too bad. Probably don't want to go any higher than that, so we're going to leave that pretty much like that. You can see here where it says position outside. If you were to do the inside, you'll notice it kind of looks like that. It looks pretty bad. Center would look like that, but we're just going to leave it on the outside because it looks much better, and it doesn't destroy the 3D effect of the rest of it. Okay, so that's pretty much all we need to do for that. You can click OK, and now that's pretty much all we need to do for this. It looks pretty good. It's kind of a neat little deal. Shows you how to do different layers, how to add additional adjustments to certain layers, so you can adjust, different phases. You could color this if we wanted to make this. Let's say that we wanted to make this kind of like. If if we wanted to make it like Mars or something, we could colorize it. Now you can get like a little reddish color. So, and you can adjust that as you see the hue would change based off of what you have. So, you know, if you want to say, okay, well, it looks like this guy's on Mars, like that 0, and then we can kind of darken that down and make it look there. So you can do a lot of neat things to it. So we're going to leave it back where it was. Okay, but that's kind of how you can change colors and colorize things for hue saturation. All right. So the last thing that you can do now, if you want to be able to make any changes to this in the future, you'd want to make sure that you do save it as a PSD, which would preserve all these right here. But if you're finished with it, that's pretty much what you want to do. To get an overall version of it. But to save it out, we can go right here. We can say, if we right click on that, we can say flatten image. And what this will do, and when I do this, no undoing it. So now it's down to just one composite image. Okay. And then what I can do is I can save this out or export this out as a PNG like we normally do to turn it in. Now, if you are working on this and you're going to work on it over, you know, more than one particular time, you would make sure you save it as PSD. Otherwise, you can't go in and make any changes to these layers. So I'm just going to go ahead and click this and go ahead and take these, and we'll just call this. Let me go to my correct location. If I can find it, I got too many files. There we go. This working file, chapter 3. We'll just call this 823 robot composite. Okay, and if we were to look at this in our folder, oops, bring this over. This is what we'll end up having. Okay, so this is kind of what you want. That's the file you want to turn in, PNG, and pretty much it. So your next assignment is going to be doing multiple layers and using some layer masking. So I'll have a little video on how to do that. On the next assignment, you'll be creating a movie poster effect. So we'll kind of go over that, but go ahead and get this one done, and then there'll be that one will follow. So you'll have a little bit more time to work on that one, because we'll be doing a couple of those, but I'll have a little demo video on how to do that along with your assignment. So that's going to kind of end it for this lesson. Hopefully, if you have any problems, let me know. And if not, we'll see you in the next one.